Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome to the full release version of Football Manager 2022. In this series, the first of two series that I'm going to be running through the course of the FM22 campaign. This is a Journeyman series. Now, in this one, I'm going to start at the bottom with minimal coaching qualifications without a job. And if you don't know what a Journeyman series is, we are going to be bouncing from job to job, trying to lift ourselves up, following our path as manager, hopefully to the highest levels and winning the Champions League. Likely in Europe would be the target for that eventually. We're going to begin in Southeast Asia, which is where my very own career began as a manager. The Northern Mariana Islands, I played, I managed. I do have a coaching license, so we are going to start with what I would really actually be. I have two coaching licenses, one from the Asian Football Confederation, the AFC, and one from the state of Washington. I'm also a coach in other sports as well. I have a game tonight with my varsity basketball team. We'll start with what I am. I'm a Sunday league player, and a Saturday league player for that matter, as I play amateur. But I do have that minimum coaching license. But what you can see here is that's a very, very small set of attribute points that I'm going to have to begin with. Let's go ahead and redraw these attribute points along the way and see what we can do. If we drop everything down, we'll see what our choices are. And it's pretty minimalistic. We're looking at 7 points to allocate each side. Now, what I could do is I could actually move those points over, possibly. I mean, if we do that, we were looking at 7 and 7. That's going to make it 12 and 2 if we shift all the way over. That's not a terrible idea. It's still 14 points to allocate. I could put them more so into the mental attributes over the coaching attributes and bringing the coaching attributes in time. I don't think that's too bad of an idea. These are the ones that are going to impact us a bit more as a manager, and not necessarily the coaching ones. I'm going to put working with youngsters into my 2 points there. So I'm a terrible coach. Ouch. That's not realistic. I know I'm not a terrible coach, but okay, fine. A National C license with all your focus being here. Sure. Well, I don't focus all my attention here. Adaptability would be nice because adaptability, of course, is finding employment in a foreign league. I'm a foreign coach in a foreign league. By the way, my leagues that are available to me, all of the Asian leagues barring Australia. I'm not going to travel down to Australia, but all of the Asian leagues are open and playable. I think I need at least to put a few points into this, otherwise we're never going to find a job. So we'll bump that to a 5. Determination is hugely important to get your way with the board, and I'd like to put points in there. I really would, but I don't know how much I can get away with adding in. Maybe we'll bump that to a 4. Gosh, I'm already down to 5 points. Player knowledge, youngster knowledge, good luck. We'll develop that in time. That leaves me with 3 other choices. Same with discipline. I guess we're going to be really laid back, so we're going to keep that a 1. That gives me motivating, people management, or additional points up here. Normally, I like to put a lot of points into motivating. However, that is something that an assistant manager can assist with. I might not be good at those pep talks, and those pep talks certainly have the ability to turn a game, but I just don't have the points to commit, so we're going to have to develop that over time. So people management, that's training. That's prepping a team long term. That could be definitely important. Also, the individual interactions, pretty important, but I'm thinking the adaptability and determination and then working with youngsters are pretty much the only things that I think are going to make a huge difference early on. I'm going to add 1 more to adaptability. I'm going to add 2 more to determination, and that's going to give us our last couple points for people management. Ouch. I am truly awful. truly awful. And that definitely doesn't match how I would rate myself, but we'll work with it. It's a Journeyman series. Let's get started. First off, I'm typically a lower league manager, been playing since 2010. So this is now my 12th edition of Football Manager, 12th straight. Most series that I play through on or off camera have been that lower league manager. style. At least early in this, it'll resemble that, but it's going to be different to be bouncing job to job. I actually haven't done a Journeyman type series in probably 10 years. Tips along the way in the comments about looking when to look for a new job, when it's time to move on and move up, and not just necessarily when somebody comes along and tries to poach us towards a higher level. Certainly welcome. In the available jobs category, there are some out there. There's definitely some options. It looks like, 5. I'd say there's about 5 options. Looks like there's, I want to say that's the Chinese Football Association, CFA. So there's 2, but Super League would be the top division. So good luck to me on trying to get those. All right, so after taking a look at each of the 5 options that are there, we have 2 in the top Chinese league, which, as many of you would know, is a place where there's a lot of money. It's a league that has had its ups and downs in recent years, but it's tried to make itself the premier league of Asia. We're not going to get that job without any experience. Then, Persik is the top division in Indonesia, while the Semen Padang is the second tier. So that's an option. That's the lowest playable, one of the lowest playable leagues in Asia. Also, this is the Korean second division. So we're going to start by applying for these 2 jobs and hope that we have a chance at getting one of those. And that's where this playthrough will begin. The Indonesian second tier team, this is the one that I would prefer to have over the Korean one, personally, based on my experiences. So here's the advertisement for this position. Semen Padang are looking for a new head coach who will be able to guide the team to the League 2 playoffs. Wow, it's a team already looking to get into the playoffs. So this is not even a team in survival mode. They like to sign players under the age of 23. That's good. That's what I'm usually looking for. Not allowed to sign non-Indonesian players, so it's very much local only. No head coach rules, so that's good. Basic training facilities. That's a decent amount of payroll, $1 million per year. Finances are okay. They have a little bit of a reputation, so and based on that single star up there, I'm assuming that they do have some sort of history in the Indonesian league, possibly having won it once before. We will apply for that job. Well, this is surprising. Korean league, this is a much bigger league, Korea compared to Indonesia, so our likelihood of getting this job drops down quite a bit. But this is a new club founded just in 2017, already fully professional though, so I don't like our chances here. So the Ansin Greeners FC are looking for a new head coach who will be able to take the team forward while understanding the challenges that come with keeping the team away from the foot of the league. Cannot sign non-South Korean goalkeepers. Sign players under the age of 23 for the first team. They're not allowed to sign non-South Korean goalkeepers. Okay, their payroll actually only slightly more, 1.3 million. Training facilities are adequate though, so they're better. Finances are okay. The reputation a little bit better off at 2 stars. We will go ahead and apply for that job as well, and we'll see. Hopefully we can get one of these too. Otherwise, it could be a while before we get hired. And as mentioned, I predicted that it was going to be a little over our head to go for the Ansin Greeners, the South Korean, even though it's only their second division. It's a bigger league. It's a higher reputation league. It's a higher reputation position, and we did not make the shortlist for their head coach replacement. Therefore, we are focusing now entirely on the Indonesian side, and they do want to offer an interview. Of note here, one of the reasons the board have decided to offer an interview is because they feel I would be an acceptable fit for the club's somewhat scaled back vision for the future. Let's translate that. We're going to be more affordable than others, and that's their scaled back vision for the future, meaning they don't want to spend a whole lot of money. I'm guessing this could have been a relegated side that's looking to bounce back a bit, but maybe finances aren't as great, even though it says it's okay, but this is that somewhat scaled back vision. Read between the lines, right? Board are pleased that you've taken the time to attend today. There are a few questions we would like to ask to see if you are the head coach we want to take the club forward. Glad you've given me the chance to talk to the club. Let's get down to business. We don't want a repeat of our last head coach, who we had to part company with earlier than expected. Are you going to be around for a while? Good question. This is an interview. You say what they want to hear, not necessarily the truth. Oh man, that goes against my inner nature, though. There's no tomorrow. Everyone has to win today, and that's my motto. If I came here, I'd want to stay for a long time. Promise. I don't care about previous head coaches. I'm only focused on what I can bring to the table. Well, that's definitely not. There is no tomorrow. Everyone has to win today, and that's my motto. Do we want to make a promise right off the bat that we would stay for a long time? I mean, what's that going to do? That's going to please them. That's going to help me get the job. What's a long time, right? Do we take this team up to the top division and then start looking elsewhere if we make that promise? We've got to get our foot in the door. Do we turn this into, hey, I'll make you guys a winner? Gosh, yes. We're going to give you some long-term stability and make you happy, which is normal for me because I'm always wanting to stay around a long time. But this is a Journeyman series. Yes. Okay. Promise. What's a long time? I'm looking to hire a head coach comfortable with working with limited resources. Are you that head coach? Oh yeah, I can handle that. That's something I'm used to. I'll do the right thing with the club's money. Sounds like a challenge I'm up for. That is totally how I would respond to that one. As part of the recruitment process, we are willing to allow you to request changes to our current coaching staff setup. What size budget would you be looking for to make these changes? I like this line of questioning. I mean, is this normal? Has this been in the game for a long time? Like I said, I haven't done a Journeyman style series in 10 years playthrough. Regardless, I could already tell this is a finances type interview. Finances important, though it's going to impact things if I get the job, isn't it? I'm probably going to make a good few changes, so I need a decent budget. That's okay. It require a small budget to allow me to make some modifications before taking charge. I won't need a budget as I don't plan on making any change. We have to have some, right? But it's got to be minimal. They are willing to allow to request changes to our current coaching staff setup. What size budget? We can go this route, right? Just minimal. I think that would help. Here's the club's current vision for the future, which you would be expected to work towards if successful in the interview. We would be keen to hear your thoughts. Signed player. Yes, I love that one. Work within payroll budget, of course. Reach the third place playoff. Do we want to be a yes man? I guess on this occasion, to get the job, we want to be a yes man. We're not expecting anything of you this season. We'll discuss next season's objectives at a later date. That's fine. What's next? Do you have any requests for us to consider should we decide to hire you? Neutral, not that I could think of. Make demands. Okay, these are all demands. If hired, I would like the board to build a new stadium, improve the club's youth facilities, set up a link with the parent club scouting range. Let's see, the board to improve the club's training facilities, youth coaching system, network to be improved if I got the job. I'd like the board to allow me to continue my development by taking a course towards earning my next coaching badge. That is the one thing that I want to consistently do through this series. I need those coaching badges. That's the only request I'm going to make. Let's hope we're not going too far. We don't agree that allowing you to take the next coaching badge will benefit the club, so we cannot agree to send you on a coaching course. There's that low determination rating. We already failed to persuade them right off the bat, except that the board don't see the benefit in it. I feel like we need to get our foot in the door. Next job, that's a must, right? We don't take a new job without that piece. Is there anything you would like to ask for ahead of potentially getting the job? Not that I could think of. That was already the one thing. That was the only thing. The rest, no, we're good. That's all the questions we have for you today. We'd like to thank you for attending this interview, and we will be in touch once we've decided upon a new head coach for the club. Looks like my candidacy is still potential because they seem to be moving forward the next day. They are, or a few days later now, Christmas Day of all things, a couple days before my birthday. Well, anyway, they are asking about changing the coaching staff. So this was part of the interview process there. So suggest the changes and we have a little bit of budget for that. Oh, this is really cool. So after looking through the staff, there's really only one that I'm considering making a move on, and I'm guessing based on our profile and based on what's out there, it's probably better not to. He's quite affordable, but the fitness coach at an 8 for fitness is quite low. But I have a feeling that we are just kind of a team that's hovering around. That's probably right around the best we're going to find anyway. We might be able to find somebody slightly better, and we might not. Okay. Hey, looks like we've got a job offer, folks. 1-year contract, $34,500. Certainly not a whole lot of money, but, it's a job. Here's what they want. It looks like the same thing, so no changes to what we talked about during the interview. Transfer budget of $100,000, payroll budget $1.4 million. That's better than what we were looking at, so that's actually good. By not having spent any money in the lead up to this, we've expanded upon the kind of money that we now have available for the job going forward. Let's go ahead and start negotiations. Immediate 1 year, can't change that. I do not need to mess with the money. I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't even need a bonus. I'm good. Let's finalize the deal. No negotiation necessary. Looks like we have a deal in principle. And there it is. We are hired. So it only took me a week to find a job. But of course, we had to be a yes man to make that happen. So they want me around long term, which means they're going to be really upset if I start looking for a job elsewhere in the short term. So I think we need to at least commit 1 season with this team and kind of go from there. But there you go. We are hired. And all right, so last season, the team was 16th, but they want us to make the playoffs this year. That sounds like a bit of a tall order to go from 16th up to 3rd place playoffs, which I'm assuming 3rd place playoffs means 3rd and 4th. That feels like a bit of a jump from where this team is right now. A little worried about that. We have a stadium with 15,000 capacity, built in 85, so it's getting up there in age. We have basic training, basic youth facilities, adequate recruitment. Finances are okay. Transfer budget of $104K, $1.4 million. That's a big jump from where we were. So it does look like I do have some money to spend. We can reshape the squad theoretically. I mean, it looked like it was at $1 million in spending when we went for the payroll or for the advertisement to apply for the job. So I'd say we have some payroll to mess with. Our last competition win was in 2013. We won the top division in 2012 and 2013. This team was fantastic less than a decade ago. And they have taken a big step backwards, really struggling in recent times. Okay. And the team report for Best 11 has a pretty interesting formation in place. Of course, I ran this exact formation in my beta series. So is that what we are destined to use for this group as well? That formation worked pretty dang well for us after we grew accustomed to it a couple weeks into the season. One of the first places to check in on is the development center, and it looks like we do have some young talent quite ready to make an impact. We have 2 16-year-olds and a 17-year-old that are already at 2.5-star ability comparative to the rest of the team. We got a couple other 16 and a 19-year-old all playing in the U21 squad. And we could definitely give some playing time to these guys. I mean, we have could become a star player and much better than that's the team's top player right now, I believe, as I was looking at what we had for options. So it looks like we do have some strong youth candidates. And considering the back end of the first team, those young players could immediately come in and have an impact. Looking at age, our youngest in the first team is 21. So those other guys actually really could make an appearance sooner rather than later. We've got some young 20-somethings that seem a long ways off comparatively, but I'll have to look. closer at their attributes and kind of what they're bringing to the table. In terms of older players, we got a couple at 30, a couple 31, 32, 33, 34. Let's see, a few of those aren't offering great quality, including the 34-year-old. So really only three older players, let's say, that are regular contributors to this squad. There's the Ojarela that they were talking about. So the 29-year-old winger. Looking at our best that we have, a right back, couple center mids. That's good. So some attacking players. Only one defender in that group of better players. We have a couple good young strikers and a couple weak older strikers, or same quality older strikers, nearly same quality. If our system really is best when it's three at the back, looking at that top player, Whoopi, well, he's really, really lacking in one very key area. Well, two key areas. If we were to play him as a wide center back, his crossing and dribbling are 5 and 2. He's not gonna help us there. If we played him as a proper center back down the middle, no nonsense, his heading and jumping reach are horrendous. So this is somebody who can mark and tackle, which is certainly good. He has anticipation. His positioning is good, and he has tremendous pace, but he's lacking otherwise. The first touch is nice, so this is somebody I'd rather have out wide. And does that mean I can train him as a right side wide midfielder in the wingback role? Maybe. Develop his crossing. Maybe. He's 25, and he does have more potential. That might be an option for this player. Here's the league structure. 6 total teams are going to see relegation. That's a lot of teams. That's a lot of teams to go down to a lower division. It's split in half. So you have 12 in one group. You have 12 in another group. The season itself, the main season, lasts about 4 months. And you play each in your group twice. So 11 opponents, 22 matches. Bottom 3 of each group relegated. Top 4 of each group go into the second phase. Those 4 will play a mini league, playing each of the 3 opponents from your group twice, so 6 matches in that phase. And then the top 2 from each group make the semifinals. That's the third phase. That's the phase that we are required to get to. So ultimately we have to have the equivalent of a top 4 out of the 24 is our expectations for the year. I would imagine if we at least get out of the first phase, we'll probably be able to hang on to our job, I would think, and not necessarily get fired, but that's what they're looking for. Those 4 remaining, those semifinalists, there's going to be 2 semifinal matches. The 2 winners are going to see automatic promotion and play in a finalist game for who's the league winner. The 2 losers will play in the third place final, and that's technically where we're expected to get. Those 2 teams, the winner gets promoted, the loser will stay in the league for another year. Ultimately, 3 teams get promoted to the higher division. That's a lot. That is a lot to ask of us, considering the team finished in 16th a year ago, assuming that is out of the 24 when considered all head-to-head. The good news is we're not far out of it, right? 8 teams make it out of that first phase. We are picked 9th. But we are a team with that ugly R next to us. This is a team that was relegated a year ago. No wonder they are A, looking for a new manager, and B, scaling back. Based on the preseason predictions, I would think that we were the last one relegated a year ago. Here's the league history. Previous version of the league, you can see there was at least 1 title further back, but that is not the current naming of the league. The recent era, we have 2 league titles. You can see we finished in 4th and 3rd in the years surrounding that, but you could see that since the 2013 championship, it's a team that's slipped. 3rd, 8th, and then relegated from 16th place, only to win the League 2 a year later, go right back up, and then see 17th. That's where we're at right now. And then last year, we're just 16th. So it's not showing that one right now because we have not gone into the new year cycle, so it's not showing the 2020 results on here, but they were 16th in League 2. So this time around, things did not bounce back so fast, but they're looking to get that rebound now. And based on the players I had available to me, here is our formation at a glance. We are in between seasons right now, so guys are home on leave. But you can see we have some really strong wing play. Those are our best players. So we are going to use a wing play style to take advantage of what is the best players on the pitch. That's giving us a basic 4-3-3 with a defensive mid and 2 wingers instead of 3 frontline attacking players. Our defense, though, is a massive concern. I need a center back. I need a left back more than any other position. I have a 19-year-old center back who might be able to step up and contribute, but is very much lacking in a couple areas. I've moved forward roughly 2 weeks, and in that time I've hired a couple scouts as there was no scouting team. And now I've also been able to find that there's a lot of free agents here in Indonesia, a lot of unsigned players that are just available, lurking around, and some of them actually do have a decent amount of quality. Most of the players that I have brought in on trial are fairly young. There's a couple 27-year-olds, otherwise everybody else is 24 or younger, even down to 17 years of age for one of these center backs here. And most of them, I went after our center backs. I desperately needed center back. I started to address that first. I will focus on the left back after I've addressed the center back position, as I do have some time. June is going to be the first game of the league campaign, and it looks like I've already found at least 2 candidates that I probably will want to put an offer in. They are highly coveted by others as well. One striker, which I don't necessarily need, as I have some depth there, but actually we could probably make some money by selling a couple of our older strikers by bringing in a good young striker who also has potential. And then there are 1 or 2 center backs here that look available, and that could really help us out. At 27, they're already going to be developed, but at least they won't be on the downside, and it'll provide us some stability there. There's also a couple just random young players that may be as good, if not better, than some of what we have and could contribute to the first team, and then just some young players for the future. But there's some options here. Now, right off the bat, I'm seeing that 1 or 2 of these guys are definitely not going to be at the level we need them to be, and we'll be letting them go in the near future. But there's options. There's definitely some options, and that's good, because I've been in quite a few playthroughs where you come into it and there aren't players out there that are available that are better than what you have, and so reshaping a squad can be pretty challenging, especially if you end up in a relegation situation, which we are, and you have a scenario where the team has a bunch of contracts for that higher division and they're not expiring and they're getting paid way too much, and they didn't have clauses to decrease their salary or to be released on relegation, and you end up with some serious issues. We do not appear to have that, so we're in pretty good shape right now. My first group of moves have been to sign 5, or hopefully all 5, as long as they still agree. In principle, we have agreements. Very affordable, all young, 20 to 22 years of age, 2 to 2.5 star already on the ability comparative to the team, of course, and anywhere from 3.5 to about 4 plus in the potential. So good young depth to add to the team, and very affordable. I mean, between the 5, we're talking about the salary of 1 player combined. So that gives us a lot more options going forward, a lot more depth, and then we could potentially move other pieces out and have these guys replaced, especially if there's some older players that have a similar role to what these guys would take on, as in that added depth. These guys could pretty much play at a lower level or be the backups, be the reserves, either way, but they're all breakthrough or fringe players, so they're not going to hurt us to have. That now leaves me with 4 more choices above. Erwan's going to be gone. I really thought about signing him, but the potential ended up not being as good after we've had him here on trial for a while. That leaves me 4 options, and we're looking at two guys that have already come in at 3.5 stars. We just brought in Monsieur in here, so I don't know much about him yet, but he's looking like a pretty decent option. We'll have to give him a few more days to see, and that depends on what happens for these two, because I'm still trying to decide who to go after, and I might go after 2, but I certainly won't go after 3. So we'll give a little more time. At the moment, though, his Siam is the one I would rather go for over Hari. He is a little bit further along, and he's also a bit taller at 5'11", and height. Real issue. We're in Indonesia. There's a lot of shorter players. 5'11" is actually probably a decent height, at least from what I'm seeing. There's a lot of guys that are 5'5", 5'6", like myself. One candidate who is absolutely ready, our best forward, our best striker, is just 3 stars on the entire roster. This guy, at 23 years of age, is 3.5 star and still has room to grow. He's got speed. He can dribble. He can finish. He has a good first touch. He's determined, and he works well off the ball. That, I think, will make him an ideal candidate, even if we end up selling him on. It's still a good one to have. So let's go ahead and see what he is into. He wants to be a regular starter. That doesn't surprise me. He will be asking for a bit more money compared to these other guys. But at 40,000 for a striker, that's good. And I bet you I can get him for a little bit less. So we'll try 35. See how that goes. It's 1-year deal, though. I'd like to get him signed on for 2. The rest of the deals here, the rest of the deal is looking pretty good. So, and there you go, at 37.5 with no transfer fee. I'm happy. I'm happy with that. And even though our first league match is not until June, I love that we are going to get 4 months of training in. It's the 1st of February. It's the first day of the transfer season. It is also the first day of practice. So we get 4 months, and that's phenomenal. A lot of time to develop the squad, shape the squad, get them used to the tactics before we start the season. Unlike sometimes where you start a season and your first game's like a week or 2 later, and the tactics just aren't there yet. It takes a lot of time to develop. Well, anyway, here is our first 4 signings. You can see outside of Eunice, who we got for the 37.5 to be a contributor, the other guys all came in very, very cheap. And there's still some more out there. These are the ones that have signed on by now. We've got more coming in the next couple of days, but we've got some competition for signing some of them, and we've got to watch out for the competition to come. But now we're going to be looking at how these guys kind of fit into the larger roster. And this is the day and the only game that we're going to get today, because, of course, we have 4 months till our regular season starts. All right, so this is the first time seeing the teams in action. We set up. So we are in red. That's first team. That's the regular first team. That's the first team that I started with when I took the job. First day, making our first lineup. So a lot of the second team guys that we are up against are either, it's a mix. It's the backups or it's the trialists. Now, some of our trialists are now already signed, so they're not necessarily in the backups. They might be on the bench with the first teamers. So this really could go either way, potentially. And I'm curious to see how those backups play. So in yellow, the defense especially, all but the right back are trialists, and one of the center mids is a trialist. Eunice, who just signed for us, so he was unnamed in the first 11 because he's a recent signing. So again, a lot of these guys that we're going to be going up against are the ones that I'm keen on. And there is Eunice. So new man Eunice linking up with the fullback Hari, who is among the trialists, and I think we already have an offer in place to sign Hari. He just hasn't signed it yet. Eunice has. And they link together well. Hari very well could be that starter at left back, though I think I'll continue to look for yet another left back. We've focused on center back so far and then found a few random names and faces, some good ones, and our trialists are showing their worth, as they seem to be much better than our first 11. And if my trialists are that much better than the first 11, and the first 11 isn't that bad, there's hopes for the season. So some of my plans going forward, I want to use a lengthy preseason that we have been gifted to do a number of friendly matches that are going to help us work on the tactics, kind of see where we're at, find the strengths of the players. The trialists, mixed with a few of the backups, are absolutely dominating this game as they make it 3 here before halftime. So yeah, it is all them, and that is very encouraging that I've been able to find this level of player as Eunice gets another one. And they're using the same tactic. I mean, both teams are lined up the same way against each other. But anyway, I want to trial some things during the preseason, so I'll have some work on that to get the rolls down just right, to get the dead ball situations sorted out and whatnot. And of course, take care of signings. And our situation, it favors free agents. There's lots of free agents that are at this level or better than the players we have. So there are plenty of targets out there that we can sign for minimal. We have some salary to burn, and so that's perfectly okay. And then I think we can do with getting rid of, some players along the way and thinning the roster back out. So I like our chances of pulling together the kind of squad that we need to get that high finish. I mean, if the squad was already good enough to be about 9th place out of the 24 squads, according to the preseason predictions, I think I can easily, with some fresh faces, especially reshaping that defense, and you see just how much better, right, these new fresh faces are than what we already had, that we should be easily able to push us into a top 4 position, which is where we ultimately need to be at the end of the season. Theoretically, anyway. I like our chances. That being said, we're not going to watch the second half here. It's irrelevant. It's preseason. It's intra-squad friendly. But I like the way the team is shaping up. That's the big thing. We got the job within a week of starting the playthrough, so that's fantastic. We're right where I would have wanted to be, which is 2nd Division, Indonesia. I think that's a perfect starting place for this Journeyman. We did not get a badge, though, so we're going to want to push to get a new contract, play maybe 1 season with these guys, and then look to move on or look to get into a new deal sooner rather than later, and then in that new deal, push to get a new badge, because we need to develop as a coach for the future of this series. But if you have liked what you've seen here, please, oh please, like, comment, and subscribe. It is hugely important in the first episode, and in reality, the first 3 episodes of a series. Especially if you look down for a second and see the number of subscribers I have, it's relatively small. This is a smaller channel on YouTube. The algorithm gives no love to a channel this size, especially in a title like Football Manager that has tons of content creators producing wonderful content. I'm not the only one, I know that. And there are wonderful content creators out there of Football Manager content. The algorithm likes large channels. It does not like small channels. It likes niche games. This is not a niche game. It's a big title. So that combination means I'm not going to get exposure. But if you like, comment, and subscribe, it will push that algorithm a little bit harder, a little bit further, and give me some sort of chance to get beyond just my regular subscribers to see this content. And I love Football Manager, and I would absolutely love to spend more time producing Football Manager content than I'm usually able to do, because the algorithm blah blah blah, no love, and I get less views here than other places. So do me that favor, like, comment, subscribe. Okay, I've plugged long enough. I'll see you for the next one. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.